Fatigue is a significant safety issue in all kinds of aviation.
If one person of the crew is fatigued, then it can affect the whole crew, and that's from the paramedics to the crew to the pilots. It's very important for us that everyone's on the ball and remains so for the duration of the operation.
It impairs our ability to do any kind of physical or mental work, changes our mood, changes our communication, and is therefore potentially a contributor to incidents and accidents in any kind of aviation.
Fatigue is recognised as a factor in human performance and can have a direct impact on safety. It's important that we recognise the issues that fatigue raise and address them using industry best practices. I remember back to my early days in the industry as a licensed engineer with a helicopter operator in Aberdeen. I worked a 30-hour shift. At the end of that 30-hour shift driving home, I looked back and went, I was such an idiot. By the time the end of the shift came, I didn't know what I was doing. But the industry has changed since then, and it's now recognised that fatigue plays a huge part in safety.
There's 4 key scientific principles that you need to understand to manage fatigue. Our waking function is affected by sleep loss. It's also impaired by staying awake too long, longer than about 16 hours, because the pressure for sleep builds up the longer we're awake. And our ability to function changes across the 24-hour day, and this is driven by a body clock, the circadian body clock in the brain. And the other thing that impacts fatigue is workload.
Although we have a documented process that manages fatigue, it's up to everybody to manage their own fatigue. So it's pretty much about everybody taking responsibility for fatigue. If they see somebody's fatigued, raising it, and if they are fatigued themselves, to mention it. It's a very clear part of our SMS, and we discuss it in our safety action group meetings. Because of those young families, because people are going through personal issues, you're not always sleeping the best. You need to be able to put your hand up and say, I'm tired.
If we get a job and any of us on the crew for 1 second feel that, that we're not up to it because we haven't, had enough rest, we're not going to take that job.
Whether it's myself informing, the company that, I am fatigued or not feeling up to going to work for whatever reason because I've done too many late nights in a row, or whether it's, something coming from the top down.
Fatigue is an obvious cause of errors in any industry. In ours, it is so much more critical that we don't make errors.
Fatigue isn't just a risk faced by airlines and other big operators. It's as much of an issue, if not a bigger issue, for small operators who face tighter margins and have fewer staff.
Yeah, fatigue's not just a management issue, it affects everyone.
Fatigue management should not be seen as a barrier to operations.
If you manage fatigue, then it is actually a cost benefit to your organisation and not a lost cost, because the danger of a fatigued person working on an aircraft and the errors they can make can actually be detrimental to your organisation.
Fatigue has been a major contributing factor to a number of aviation accidents over the years. While this is concerning, it also presents an opportunity to improve safety by addressing this important area. Our current fatigue rules were established over 20 years ago. It's time for us to review these through a collaborative approach. The CAA, working with industry and fatigue experts from the medical, science, and industry community. Prescriptive limits are not enough. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's safe. Operators need to be managing the safety risk associated with fatigue.
The industry should care about the CAA review because it is our industry.
Everybody has a different operating context, and it is important that all points of view are heard.
I think we're good in this country. I think we can be better, and so from my point of view and the point of view of the Trust, we're fully on board with the CAA.
I would encourage everybody to have their say on this document, as it does help us all as an industry.